Okay, so now we are coming into the most important part of the semester, and that's the beginning of actually coming up with a research hypothesis given a particular data set that I will post on Blackboard for you with instructions as to what the data set contains, what variables are in it, and what I expect you to do with it. That said, before we get any further, we've already covered. Okay, so if you look at the syllabus, item number 1 was your attendance item, and that's clearly outlined in the syllabus, and you just follow that. Item 2 was quiz number 1, okay, from chapter 1. Item 3 was quiz number 2 from chapter 2. Okay, so the first item, which is attendance, is an ongoing thing all semester. We've covered items 2 and 3 since then. Now we are moving into item 4. But before we get to item 4, which is the beginning of actually writing a portion of the paper, I need to go over a couple of issues with you, and that pertains to formatting. What do I want the paper to look like? Okay, now later on we'll discuss what the title page should actually look like. That's going to be formatted in a slightly different way than most actual journal publications format the title page. But the rest of the paper, the body of the paper, I want formatted in a specific way. And if you don't format it in this specific way, it's going to hurt you in terms of points. I'm going to take points off for it, and a substantial amount of points. Okay, so you need to make sure you're familiar with Microsoft Word, which you've had umpteen million classes using Word by now. You need to be familiar enough with Word to be able to format papers in the following way. What I've done is I've actually printed out a paper that I have published. I was a co-author with another faculty member in our department, and it was actually published in a journal called Global Economy Journal, and you can see that you can see the title and so forth, and you can see the abstract of the paper, and we'll get to that later, okay? But for now, I want you to ignore that, because that's going to go on a title page. It's going to be formatted differently, okay? For our purposes for class. Most journals scrunch the title page into this little area for the purpose of saving space, because space is money to them, and so they do it this way. I want a formal title page, so ignore that part. The rest of this paper, however, is how I want you to format your paper. Specifically what I want. You can see here how the words are justified on both sides of the page, okay? Now, justification means that you're simply lining up all of the words on one side or the other. If I was having left-hand justification, on the left-hand margin, you'd see all the words lined up here perfectly, and then here the words would end wherever they end, given single spacing between words. So you'd have staggered lines over on this side. If I had right-hand justification, you'd see the opposite. You'd see all the words lined up on the right and staggered in sentences on the left, staggered lines on the left. Justified on both sides means that I want the words to line up on both sides, and there is a button in your toolbar on Microsoft Word to make this happen. Second, I want single spacing, okay? Now, you got to be careful because Microsoft Word, some of the Word versions default to, I believe, 1.5 spacing, okay, 1.5. I don't want 1.5. I want single spacing, so make sure you change that. Also, you have to be careful. Many versions of Word actually default to having a space after you hit the return key, okay? So you get to the end of this sentence, Microsoft Word automatically returns this, okay? And it stays single spacing. But for instance, if I get to here, I have to hit return at the end of that paragraph. When I hit return, some of the Microsoft Word software will actually inject a space between this sentence where I hit return and the beginning of the next sentence. You need to turn that feature off, okay? I do not want any spaces between paragraphs, okay? So I want justified both sides. I want single spaced sentences, okay? I want 12-point font, and I want it to be Times New Roman, okay? Again, 12-point font, Times New Roman. Make sure you format your Word program that way. This tab right here, Microsoft Word defaults to, if I'm not mistaken, a 1/2-inch tab. You need to change that to a 1/4-inch tab, 0.25-inch tab, okay? Because I want it to look just like this. If you have any questions about the way your writing is formatted, pull up this video and look at it. If it doesn't look like this, it's not right, okay? And I want this done exactly like this too. I want each section numbered. I want a space between the one and the introduction, and I want that this looks like a little bit more than one space, and it is actually. It's simply the formatting of the publisher when they typeset this page. But what I want is I want introduction in bold. I want it numbered. It can be 12-point font. I know this font is a little bit bigger than this font, but I want them on your paper to be the same. So I want this to be 12-point font, that to be 12-point font, but I want it to be in bold. Okay, and I want one space between your title of the section and the first sentence that you write. Okay, lastly, you have to realize that an indentation at the beginning of a paragraph marks a new topic or a new subtopic being addressed in the overall theme of the paper. Okay? That's why the indentation is there. It kind of causes the reader to take a breath, start in on a new subtopic or a related subtopic, okay? That's why the indentation is there. When you start a section, you'll see there is no indentation. And the reason is because the section header is already telling the reader to take a breath. We're starting in on a new topic, okay? So keep in mind that the first paragraph of each section, and let me go to another section, okay? So this is the second page of the paper. You can see everything single space, justified both sides, no spaces between paragraphs. But let me go to the next section. So here's the next section, okay? You'll see again the title of the section, a space, no indentation. Section 3, title of the section, a space, no indentation, but subsequent paragraphs are indented 1/4 inch, Okay. Now, one final thing. What is your margin supposed to be? They're supposed to be 1-inch margins. Okay, and that's, I want 1-inch margins all the way around, top, bottom, and sides. Okay, top, bottom, and sides. So if you're writing a full, say you're writing filling up a full page for this research paper, and let's just say there's no graphs or anything on it, that's pretty much what your page is going to look like. Let me try and zoom out on this a little bit. Okay, that is pretty much what your page is going to look like. Okay, when you get done with a full page. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I can't emphasize it enough. Set this formatting up right now, because it is very, very important that you get the formatting of this paper correct from beginning to end. Again, ignore this part of this example, okay, because we're going to do a different cover page. Okay, we're going to do a cover page that includes the same stuff, but it's going to look different. It's going to be a full page rather than just this little scrunched up area. But the rest of the paper, I want it to look like the rest of this. Okay, so again, justified both sides, 1-inch margins all the way around, single space line, Times New Roman, 1/4-inch tabs. Okay, bold section titles, justified on the left, just like the rest of the paper, numbered with 1 space in between. Okay, any questions? Again, give me a shout.